Good morning.
Happy Monday.
You may or may not notice, I know you guys notice. You pay attention to the details. The background looks slightly different, and today's episode might be a little echoey. Why, you ask? We're only moving across the United States. So we had to pack our house yesterday, which means there's not very many things in the office anymore. It makes me think of the Grinch movie where he's like, something about an echo. When my voice reverberates off the walls and comes back to me, and then he's like, I'm gonna whisper. That way you can't hear it. And it's like, you're an idiot. Somebody knows what I'm talking about. But we left a very important book.
But we still left a plant. Yes.
A plant
And the Bible.
and a book.
And the Bible.
And the Bible.
And the Bible.
Oh my gosh. Somebody's going to say that's blasphemy.
That's what?
It's our Bible.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're on Clubhouse, welcome. We are doing this show live on Facebook. This is more like podcast style. And today we are talking about getting happier. Which is an extremely broad topic and something that I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe that everybody would like is more happiness. So today's conversation is, how do we generate that and create that for ourselves, especially in a world so chaotic, so disconnected and wild? How do we cultivate our own happiness? So thanks for joining us.
Let's begin with gaining clarity. What is happiness anyways?
I looked it up.
What is happiness?
Happy. A feeling or showing pleasure or contentment. Come in here.
Everybody wants to be happy. Most people are not. What?
But not everybody's willing to do what?
But not everybody. That's where you're going, huh?
I thought you were going on your everybody wants train.
But yeah. So everybody wants to be happy, but it seems as if it's this like a golden pot that everybody's trying to chase. And from my own experience, I feel like, it doesn't matter what level of happiness you currently have. I think as humans, especially like high performers, we always strive to have more. I don't know about you, but I know that that's about me. But a state of contentment. So, shall we get to the mechanics? We broke it down. What should you implement?
What does it mean to be content? A state of peaceful happiness.
There you go.
Willing to accept a particular thing, satisfied. I don't even like that. I'm never satisfied. State of satisfaction.
That's what I'm saying. Like the pot of gold, like at least that's from my own life experience.
This is the problem.
What?
This is the problem. We're defining happiness as an end destination. There was a commercial during the Super Bowl yesterday. I was watching bits and pieces while I was packing the kitchen. And there was a commercial. Who did it? What
You were
company?
telling me Michelob Ultra.
Oh, Michelob Ultra. Yes. Or Michelob, yeah. And they were saying how, like, does happiness only reside at the end? And they're showing, just, elite human beings. I'm not talking about elite athletes. You don't get to the tippy top without being an elite human being. So the Serena Williams, the Tiger Woods, the Michael Jordans, you know, and they're saying, is happiness only at the end when you win the championship, or when you win the gold medal, or when you, you know, reach this final point? And it creates a certain amount of happiness to be in that place. But if you're not happy along the way, you never get to the place. Because excuses will be far larger than anything you want to accomplish. And the fact that being content is in the word happy, I struggle with, because I think, and maybe this is just personal, this is just for me, but I think a lot of happiness comes in the shitty journey. Not in the shitty journey. The journey's good, but in the shit storms that occur during the journey.
Yes.
Because those are the moments that create growth. Those are the moments that give you purpose to keep going forward, and that creates happiness. Not being content. That's like, I think of being content as like settling. Like, I'm okay with this. I'm fine here. And any like elite person or somebody who wants more, high performer, is never content, satisfied with the work that has been done, yes, and happy about it, but always still wanting to be better, striving for being better.
Amen.
Right? Couple thoughts.
So, you know, we broke down the mechanics of what are some things that you need to implement in order to cultivate more happiness. You know, so the first thing that you should do is, again, when it comes to whatever it is that you're looking to pursue, you should always measure it. So currently, like on a scale of 1 to 10, define your level of happiness. 1 being like extremely depressed, 10 being, you know, basically, you know, just riding on a unicorn in the clouds. Kind of happiness, right? So define where you're at with regards to that, and then implement the mechanics that we're going to talk about today. So the first thing, you know, this journey called happiness, the first thing that you have to implement in order to pursue a state of happiness is this thing called gratitude, which more often than not, people take for granted. This is something that we take very, very seriously. If you currently own our journal, there is a gratitude piece. Why exactly for that? Because here's the thing, you guys. If you don't learn to appreciate what you have right now, you will never learn to appreciate when you'll have more. And also, if you don't learn to appreciate what you have now, your likelihood of attracting more of that is going to be slimmer. Okay? So, like, you know, expressing and acknowledging contentment with what you have right now sets you up for cultivating more of that and receiving more of that. So that is step number 1. Do you want to add anything with regards to gratitude?
I was just thinking about what is the last thing that I took for granted, and I was like, it's actually a hard thing to like think about, because when you're taking something for granted, you're not thinking about the fact that it's great that you have that thing. And I'm like, okay, the conversation in my head is, okay, well, are you not like, there's so many things that I take for granted every day, and I in my mind, it's difficult to be so, what's the word? Like when so many things are happening, like the granular stuff we take for granted every single day. I don't think it's fair to ask myself to acknowledge every single little detail of every single thing every day, because you can literally think you could spend an entire day. I'm grateful for fresh air. I'm grateful that my senses work well. I'm grateful I have shoes on my feet. I'm grateful for the dresser that holds my clothes. I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for this cup of coffee that tastes delicious and makes my fireworks go off in my mouth when I have a sip. I'm grateful for the handle on this cup because, ooh, if it's hot, then I don't have to burn my hand. I'm grateful for the mouse that moves the thing around on my computer because without it, I don't have no idea how I would get anywhere. I'm grateful, like the list goes on. You can literally be grateful for anything. And so to just stop and acknowledge a few things intentionally every single day brings you into that present state of awareness that, look, I have these things. And I'm acknowledging that I am fortunate to have this. I'm fortunate to have all of my limbs. Some people don't. Mm-hmm. So to stop and think about intentionally, hey, what are a few things that I'm grateful for each and every single day, just generates this like immediate sense of like happiness, right? Like, wow, it is really cool that I have access to this, or that I am capable of this, or yeah, so much easier to complain.
I know that from my own just growth journey, gratitude has been like a major element, and I truly believe that when you practice gratitude wholeheartedly, your level of happiness keeps on compounding regardless of what you have going on. Like,
or what material.
And I'm saying this to you guys with so much humility, and I hope that, you know, you take it to your own life and you practice it, because I feel like life over the last 5 to 10 years, like somewhere in between that, has only gotten better and better and better and better. And I'm not going to talk about like my entire journey over the past, 7 to 8 years and like all of the struggles that I've overcome, but like it doesn't matter what you have going on, like what complications, difficulties, adversities, blah blah blah, like gratitude will allow you to attract more of that, and your level of happiness will only keep on compounding. Like, the life that we're living right now, the impact that we're making right now, just like the harmony that we have with our intentions and our actions. It's just like 6 years ago when I was packing up the office yesterday, I saw a note.
Did you go down memory lane?
Of the first time that I wrote my vision and goals, which is 6 years ago.
I found one of mine from a while ago too.
And you guys, like literally 90% of the things that I said have already like came to fruition. I realized how unclear I was. And some of the things that didn't come to fruition are either because they're out of my control and it's still something that I'm pursuing, or it is not relevant in my life right now. But like just going back to my old self 6 years ago, there's like, to imagine where we are right now is like everything that I wanted back then, but 10 times more. Like, it's crazy. The relationship that I'm in, the fact that we're married, the fact that, I said I live near a body of water in either California or upstate New York. Well, now we're going to Miami, which is even better, right? So like, like what I'm doing, I said that, I have a career in the health and wellness industry, and I no longer have to work at a bar at night. Like, just hearing that, like, like where I've come from, you guys, like all these changes happened literally just by, being as clear as I could be back then on what I want out of my life and being grateful for what I have. So many people just focus on, all the problems that they have. And I'm like, any wonder why you're miserable? Any wonder why you're anxious? And any wonder why you keep on attracting more problems? Wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah, I found some too. When you're packing, you're like, what do I want to keep and what do I want to get rid of? So you start going down memory lane. You're like, oh my God. And I'm reading through different goals that I wrote out and things. And I'm like, happened, surpassed, doing better than, still not there, but I believe it. And it's so cool to just be like, when you can look back too and see how far you've come. This is a topic of goals, but just sitting down and being grateful for the fact that you don't have to go to work at a bar at night because that wasn't in alignment with you.
But even back then, when I had to literally walk 3 miles in the snow to go
uphill
work at a bar,
both ways,
I was still grateful. I was grateful because you know what? I could get paid by the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. So happiness, being grateful is one of them. I would say giving back to other people is another one. Helping other people.
Wait,
and what?
Are you going off of the mechanics or are you just
I'm just making shit up.
Okay, great.
Is that all right?
That's fine.
Is that okay with you guys? Can I just make shit up?
That is so Erin-like.
Great. Giving. Do you have it in there?
Well,
she makes notes.
It could be a part of one of the elements.
Okay, great. Which element?
Productivity.
So how good does it feel when you have the ability to give? There's one of our mentors says there are 3 things you can give. You can give your time, you can give your talents, and you can give your treasures. Mm-hmm. Time is time. Talents are the things that you're good at. Treasures are more monetary or
things.
Physical. Yeah, what's the word? Objects, stuff. And so when you give a resource that you have to somebody without expecting anything in return, we do these shows, you guys, for you guys. Mm-hmm. But we don't expect anything from you. All we wish is that you take it and you apply it and you become better, you become happier, you become more fulfilled. But when you give to somebody without expecting anything in return and you see how that makes them feel, tell me you're not happy in that moment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, the element of having a sense of contribution.
Yes.
It's fulfilling.
Or just helping other people, helping with whatever.
Everybody wants to contribute, right?
I think it's a human need.
So yeah, let's dive into productivity. Being a sense of contribution is great, but if you're just contributing to others and you're not, doing what you gotta do, then we could hit a roadblock. So of course, contribution is a big thing under the umbrella of productivity, but doing what you have to do also in order to keep on moving forward. Productivity. So for example, let's say if you can contribute all day, but let's say, if you ate shitty, if you skipped your workout, if you didn't do what you had to do, then, are you going to be completely fulfilled?
Well, even if you didn't take care of yourself and you gave to somebody else, you're still going to feel happy from that.
For a second.
Are we talking about ultimate happiness?
Yes.
Because that is cultivating happiness.
So yes, that's
But-
what I'm saying.
but that- I
Let's
think
put
it's-
contribution
I think
under the
it's-
product.
It's just two different things. Productivity is productivity, you doing what you need to do for you. Contribution is you giving to other people.
Yeah.
But you can't give what you don't have. So one must come in front of, but contributing, so you're talking about productivity, so let's dive into that. But I think that productivity and contribution are just two separate pieces.
Okay, so I added another one.
Okay.
So we talked about gratitude so far. The second one that we just talked about is contribution. So let's just dive into the third one, which is productivity. You guys, one of the things that cultivate happiness is just overcoming tough shit in the process. It's not just by having it fall on your lap. And that's why we say when it comes to weight loss, it's not about the weight that you lose, but who you become in the process. Like, let's say, let's say you're like 4 weeks into your weight loss journey. Let's say you joined the page 4 weeks ago and, you started doing the Rise Above, you're doing the Burn Zone, you're listening to our episodes and whatnot. And the workouts are hard, but you're just, you're still showing up. Waking up earlier than normal for you is hard, but you're still showing up. And then you step on the scale and you're like, wow, the weight has gone down. That makes you feel productive. And that gives you a sense of accomplishment. But in order to be productive, it's not just by looking at, oh, this is where I'm at right now, but it's acknowledging the things that you've overcome in the process. Because here's the thing, so many people, right, I would say just like average society, it's like you go to college, you go to work, and as soon as you start being in the workforce, all you think about is retirement, and people think that, oh, once I retire, life would be blah, blah, blah. But the reality is that the death rate after retirement is actually so much higher because people are not being as productive and they feel as if they have less to contribute. So productivity actually is in direct correlation with regards to your longevity as well. Because it gives you a purpose when you're being productive. We're no different than German Shepherds. Ever seen the German Shepherd? When they have a purpose, something to protect, hunt, they won't stop. Us humans, we're no different.
The problem is that most people don't know what they're after. So they have no, there's no intentional forward motion. You're just kind of floating around.
And that leads us to the next one, being in a positive environment. So
before we go into being in a positive environment, though, I want to talk about what does it mean to be productive, right? Now, you can be busy. Everybody's busy. Nobody has time. Everybody's busy. But busy doesn't mean you're getting shit done. Mm-hmm. Busy means your schedule's full of stuff, whatever that is.
Yeah.
But what result was produced from you doing stuff? How productive were you in the time you were spending doing the stuff? Right? Everybody's busy. Meanwhile, so many people are spending, multiple hours just mindlessly scrolling through social media.
Yeah.
Not to say that social media is all bad, but there's definitely some discipline that's required when you're trying to be productive, but you're using social media. It's are you using social media to consume? How much are you producing? Mm-hmm. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't scroll through a social media and have some entertainment for a hot minute, or go to podcasts that are I would say you're being productive if you're learning. This is a very productive thing to listen to on social media. But to be productive is achieving or producing a significant amount or result. So with all the things that you're doing, what is the result that's coming from that? Or are you just busy doing busy things? So that's how I would like think about productivity, is what result am I trying to accomplish today? And what are the actions that I'm taking to produce that result?
I just created a formula.
Oh.
Productive equals busy plus intention. Most people are busy. Very few people are busy with intention. And that's why most people are lost, because they're busy in the wrong lane. Now, if you are taking action, but you are in the right lane, then now you're moving forward. You're not moving and don't know where you're going land. You're actually getting ahead. Like that formula.
I love it.
Yeah. So productivity is super important. However, I want to share this with you guys. I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday, at one point when I was packing yesterday, and she's currently living with her cousin, pretty new to the entrepreneurship world. So, she moved out of one state, moved over to the next, just trying to figure out where she wants to be in order to cultivate her level of productivity. So currently she's living with her cousin, and, we were talking about how her cousin is just like, more like the typical average person, has a pretty stable job, overweight, just okay being okay.
That's the perfect description. Okay being okay.
She's just okay being okay. She's like,
but I think most people deep down are not okay just being okay.
Right.
If we're being honest.
Like you've got to be self-conscious if you're living that way. At least that's my thought. She's cooking clean meals, and she's doing like all these like active things, and just like being super intentional. Meanwhile, her cousin, she has her corporate job. She leaves in the morning and comes home in the afternoon, and like she's like, I was trying to make her, like, I was not trying to make her, I was encouraging her to, like, start eating clean and working out, like I'm making for her the meals. And she's like, but I'm just so busy. And she's like, are you kidding me? Like, you come home at 5 p.m. and for the rest of the night, for like 4 or 5 hours, all you do is drink wine and watch Netflix. You're
busy.
Not being productive.
You're so busy.
Most people who go to their work are not actually being productive. They have to do tasks. We all have to do tasks, whether they're positive or negative. That's just busyness. Now, productivity means that you're doing more tasks than normal that are actually helping you to get ahead.
Is this thing moving me forward in the direction I want to go?
Yes.
Now, that doesn't mean that every single action you take has to be like,
no,
for productivity, for creating something. Like, I like to sit down and watch some mindless bullshit every once in a while, because I want the productivity for me is turn my brain off. But the intentionality of that is so that I can stop thinking about all the things I always think about, to give my mind a break. Mm-hmm. There's still intentionality behind me watching the TV. Doesn't mean I'm necessarily getting closer towards a goal. Mm-hmm. It just means that I want to shut this machine off for a hot second so it can reboot.
Yeah. So, sharing with you guys the story, this is actually a beautiful transition to the next point, which is positive environment. So now that she stepped into her cousin's place, she is making her environment better, because she's obviously like inserting healthier habits, more positivity, and that sort of thing. However, just because there is positivity around you if your mind is not positive, or if your mind is not open to accept, acknowledge, and act upon a certain level of productivity, then you're not really going to go anywhere. However, your likelihood of actually following through is so much less likely if you're not in a positive environment. Like, there is no way in hell that, you know, like if she was not to live with her cousin, that her cousin would even eat clean or work out. Now, she's trying, but she's not really getting anywhere because she didn't accept and acknowledge the fact that she needs to change. And to change, you gotta change. Like, if you
Does she want to change?
No, she doesn't. She's just, and like we talked about it yesterday, like she's just okay being okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's okay if you're okay being okay. But
that's okay if you're okay being okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay. I said okay a lot of times.
But going back to the concept of happiness, and I was mentioning, and this is from my own life experience, so like for you it might be completely different, but you know, I feel like happiness, it's a state that we always strive to achieve. So I feel like if, you know, like your environment is not constantly improving, if your productivity is not always improving, if your level of contribution is not always increasing, and you know, if you don't constantly practice gratitude, then are you increasing your threshold of cultivating happiness? Probably not. So then we're actually, it's interesting because we were literally talking, like everything that I'm telling you guys right now, we're just talking about, you know, just analyzing the situation. And I'm like, do you think that a person can actually be fully fulfilled and happy if they're just not pursuing all these things at the same time? And she's like, no. And I was like, okay, I don't either. But, you know, again, these are just the thoughts that go through my head. You know, I would like an outsider view as well.
It's not our job to say what makes you happy.
No.
But if you want to increase your level of happiness and generate more for yourself, it's an internal thing. No external thing is going to, like possession, is going to give you a lasting, unbreakable happiness. Mm-hmm. You get a new car. Oh, it makes me happy. Somebody hits it. Oh, now I'm not. You know, so these are ways to just generate from within an unbreakable kind of happiness that you have full control over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but positive environment is super important because, you know, like you become a byproduct of your environment. And if your environment is, you know, just not in alignment with happiness, it doesn't cultivate, you know, like a certain level of productivity. Like, I'm going to give you guys an example. I know that I'm so sensitive to the environment that I'm in, for better or for worse, for so many reasons. So, like yesterday, like you handled the kitchen like a boss and I handled the office like a boss, because for me the place where I spend the most time in is the office. And if my office does not allow me to, like, if my office is not clean, if there is shit around me, like boxes, like trash, dirt, boogies, hair, like I can't think straight. So, you know, like it affects my level of productivity. Or for example, you know, like let's say food in the kitchen. I only have clean food in my house. Why? Because like my subconscious feeds to those things, and I realize how sensitive I am. And again, one of the reasons why we're moving to Miami, because we want to be surrounded by, you know, like high performers, like to an extreme degree. And we know that, you know, if that's what we surround ourselves with, then our standards by default are going to increase as well.
I want to share a story. And when you start to become aware of this, like people's language and how they're speaking with you, to themselves, to other people, about events or circumstances, you start to like really hear it. And so if you're trying to create the most positive environment for yourself, now we'd be lying if we said you should be positive all the time, 100% of the time. The reason that negativity exists is because for some reason it's necessary. I don't know why, but I think that all the things that exist that we are aware of are here for a reason. Now, I don't know what negativity's reason would be, but I believe it goes back to the conversation of resistance and it being here to destroy you. But when you think about, when you start, just become aware today. Become aware of your language. Is it positive? Is it uplifting? Is it encouraging? Is it grateful?
Limiting.
Or is it, woe is me? Are you complaining? Are you, and then start to listen to the other things that you hear. Is this positive or is this negative? And when we went to get our hair done, we got it done at a different place because we went to Miami. California was all shut down. I absolutely love the girl that was doing my hair here in California, but we're moving, so we need to find new people, right? So got my hair done, and I like it done the way it was done in California better, but I still like how it was done. They called me. The hair salon called me, which I appreciated. And they said, hey, just wanted to get your, kind of like a review on, how your experience was and, your hair and do you like it and whatnot. And I was like, you know what? And when we were walking out that day, you scheduled another appointment. I didn't for a reason. And they called me probably because I didn't schedule an appointment. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think they called you.
They called me. I did pick up. I was in the middle of something.
But they called me and they said, how was your experience? I said, you know what? I love the way my hair was done. I'm very satisfied with, the cut, color, whatever. My personality just didn't match with the person that was doing my hair. And I said, that's nobody's fault because I'm not here to be negative towards anybody. But the whole time I was communicating with this hairstylist to get her to be more positive. I wanted to bring her, this is where we started and this is where we ended. If we're talking about here's positivity and here's negativity, it was everything was this happened and then that happened and oh my gosh, and life's terrible and this thing and then that thing. And the whole time I'm so what are your favorite things to do around here? And I'm asking her questions to get her to talk about shit she likes, because all she's talking about is what's not going well. And it was I was I can't get my hair done, and I can't be sitting captive in a chair for 3 hours listening to that. So I was doing my best to create positive conversation because I was this is not going to work. I'm going to walk out of this chair with the fucking superhero cape on and foil in my hair because it was either that or I'm going to turn this conversation around. So I turned the conversation around. But, surrounding yourself with people who think, on the this is what's good side of the spectrum rather than all bad. I don't know why, but it seems so much easier to complain and think about all the things that are not going right or the things that we don't want to happen.
Well, I think it depends on the environment that you're in.
And how you train your brain. Because no longer do I talk about as much the things that I don't want. Sometimes it still slips out of my mouth. But I try to flip that script even. If you're talking about, I don't want to get fat.
I had that same conversation with Heather Z yesterday. I'm like, stop talking about what you don't want.
Yeah, flip it around and talk about
only the things that you want. Because if you talk about the things that you don't want, Heather, I see that you're here. That's why I mentioned your name. And we used to do that too. But like, again, words are a manifestation. So if you talk about what you don't want, you're attracting what you don't want. And is it any wonder why you keep on spinning in circles around the same thing? So what you focus on expands. You need to focus on positive things only. However, I would say that because it is rare to have people like in your life who are just like so positive all the time, and like when you're around them, you feel like you're tipping through the tulips and you just want to do like badass shit. That is why, so many people are like so negative and they don't even realize that. Like I used to be that way. I used to be so negative and I didn't realize that. But, I started inserting myself with better people and I became more positive and I felt more productive with my life. And then it's like I got into an even better environment and I was more productive. And it's like the cycle
just
continues and continues and continues and continues. And by the way, that's why we're doing like ENS Live, you guys. So that you guys can literally be immersed physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually in a positive environment. And the power of that, what?
I always interrupt you.
Yeah.
And you interrupted me, and it makes me feel really good that you did that. Because now I'm not the only one.
I didn't even realize that.
I know, I never realize when I do it. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. But it's okay. It's okay. I just wanted to put a tally on the record board for the score that nobody's keeping. But yeah, you're so right. And when you this is your opportunity to become aware right now that you're hearing about it, because if you don't know, now you know. So this is your opportunity to say, okay, wow, let me start paying attention. And it's not just the words that you say, because what you think is what you say. And what you say is what you do, and what you do becomes your legacy. Our mentor, Brandon Dawson, says that probably every single day, multiple times a day.
It's true.
And it's true. So it starts with your thoughts. Think positively. Think about the outcome you want, not the outcome you don't want. Think about the direction you want to go, not what you're running away from. And this is your opportunity now to become aware, because awareness is the only way you have the ability to then move forward. Awareness and then action.
Yeah.
And you just get better and better. It's like a muscle.
Yeah.
You got to practice it. You got to work on it. You got to flex it. There's still times where I say, oh, I don't want this to happen. And I catch myself. And most of the time now I catch it before it comes out of my mouth. And it comes out of my mouth the way I need it to. But there's still some times where I start saying it and I'm like, and then I got to turn it around. But, just something you work on, something you practice and get better at.
Yeah. And the last thing is having low tolerance for negativity. You guys, you get what you tolerate. And if you tolerate more negativity, again, we just talked about environment. If you tolerate more negativity, by default, you're going to be more negative. You're going to be more negative and you're not even going to realize it. And that is the power of environment, because the power of environment will raise your standards or will lower it without even you realizing it. I guarantee you, each and every one of you guys, that if you were to live with us for 6 months, your entire life would be transformed. I don't care what obstacles you think you have in your way. An entire weekend will change your life. Right? Because you become who you surround yourself with. So, pay very close attention to those tiny details because they make a huge impact.
Mm-hmm.
So, you tolerate more negativity. I don't care who it's from, your boss, your kids, your whatever.
Your hairdresser.
Just remember that your life happens to you because of you. You tolerate more of your boss's bullshit, you're gonna be more negative. You're gonna think more negative thoughts. You're gonna keep on self-sabotaging. Yes, but you can change that. You don't have to tolerate it. But in order for you to do that, you have to get clear on what is it that you want. And that goes under productivity. So, remember that. To cultivate happiness, focus on gratitude, being a sense of, having a sense of contribution, increasing productivity, surrounding yourself in a positive environment, and having lower tolerance for negativity. And by the way, it's not something that you can change overnight. It happens it goes over years and decades, and it continuously evolves. People think that life is this before and after photo. No. Life is not a before and after photo. It's like a loophole that if you do it right, it kind of goes like this and goes up incrementally.
Have you been reading Ray Dalio?
Yes, I have.
It's great.
See, I surround my mind with big thinkers.
Yeah. What a great topic. I think that's it. Oh, let's do some announcements. Guys, in case you didn't see the post that I made, we have a new addition to the ENS team. And it is Miss Stacy K. Many of you already are familiar with and absolutely adore, as do we and the rest of the team. But she is now the gatekeeper, keeping you all safe in this amazing community, keeping the community amazing. So if you guys have any questions, if she's giving you guys answers or responses, it's all valid. And so we welcome her. And then ENS Live. Guys, Diamond is sold out. Platinum has a maximum of 6 spots left, between 4 and 6 spots. And Gold has only 8 left. So that's what happened throughout last week and over the weekend. So if you guys are wanting to go to the live event in March, it is the 18th to the 20th. And we are going to be in Provo, Utah. And you can reach out for more details on that if you'd like. There's also a video that is in the announcements that we did live, a Zoom video that you can check out to get answers to probably many of your questions. We also have an FAQ. So you can reach out either to Stacy, I would say also Crystal, Catalina, Ashley Riddle, or myself. Anybody on the team, really. We can answer your questions about that, and happy to get you set up if that's something that you're interested, or even just open the conversation. Yes.
Okay, somebody said something and I really want to challenge you. So somebody asked, what if you can't get away from a negative person?
Is that the truth though?
That's why I want to challenge her. Charlotte, what do you mean you can't get away from a negative person?
Let's just create a scenario, because it lags. If I've got a negative person in my life, let's think about the people that one might think you can't get away from. A child that belongs to you, a spouse, perhaps a family member, somebody maybe you've been in a relationship for a very long time, your BFF from high school. These are people that are difficult to end relationships with. Now, the child is a different one, but it is your duty and obligation to be the leader of the child. So that is on you, and I would just challenge, I would say the challenge is to change the thinking, change the thought process of of the child, and probably if they're being negative, then they've seen it from somewhere else. Now, if it's not a child and it's a spouse, that might be a difficult relationship to get away from, but that doesn't mean you can't.
You guys, you have a choice. Every day you have a choice. And just because something is hard doesn't mean that it's impossible. And that's why, like, these conversations are so important. And, you know, implementing all of this and talking about this is so important, because, like, so many people don't realize that you have a choice. Yes, it's gonna be hard. Yes, it could be overwhelming at the beginning, but it's not that you actually can't. It could be more complicated, but yes, you can.
She said ex-husband with 3 kids. I mean, depending on the relationship that, or the agreement that you have, right? I'm guessing that there's, you know, pick up and drop off or transfer of some kind with the kids is what I'm guessing is why you can't get away from. However, you can edit the amount of communication that you have with that person, and you can make it strictly business.
Yep.
Now, that is a trickier one, but where there's a will, there is a way. And I haven't been in that situation, so I don't think I can actually speak into the exact how-tos of that. All I can do is imagine, hey, if I had to communicate with this person because it involves my children, how is there a way maybe I don't need to communicate with this person and I could communicate with somebody else that's communicating with this person? Because that has also happened with another person that we knew, or that we know, but also no longer spend time with, who had to have a mediator between her and her husband for her kids. So, I mean, that's...
I don't even know what you're talking about, but it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
And I want to bring something up that I feel like some of you guys might be at this point, and it's important to talk about. You guys, and this is going to sound harsh, but I'm going to say it with love. Some of you guys have come to this page having already created, listen to this real quick, having already created so much baggage in your life that now things are going to be a lot, like 100 times more complicated. Like, for example, ex-husband with 3 kids, that's a lot more baggage. But that doesn't mean that, you know, you can't change it. It just means that the auditing process will, one, have to be more extreme, and you're going to need to have a greater desire in order for it to change. And it could take longer, simply because there is more baggage. Just like, let's say, somebody who wants to lose 100 pounds. It's not that you can't have a 6-pack. You just have so much baggage to get rid of. And your willingness to want to change is going to have to be way greater in order to achieve that than most people. And it's going to have to take more time just because there is an increased amount of baggage. But I feel like because most people, they don't set goals. They're not focusing on being productive. They're just focusing on the immediate result of things. They never actually get ahead in life because they think about, oh, well, it can't change next week. And this is what happened for however many years. So they now limit themselves and they think that, you know, like they can't achieve it. That's not true. Your level of willingness has to be way high, and you have to be willing to put in the work for quite a bit of time. Mm-hmm. But because people, you know, have, we talked about patience last week. Because people are impatient, they end up using words like can't. When in fact you're not willing to put in the work for that long. Anything in life is possible. Some people carry a lot more baggage than others. For example, let's say if you've been married for 30 years and now you fell in love with somebody else, or maybe you just want to have a change in your life, or maybe you just have no tolerance for that person anymore. That doesn't mean that you can't pack up your shit and go. You can, especially if you live in this country. Now, if you live in a Muslim country, you might be stoned to death. So I would say
you still have a choice.
So I would say you still can, but you know, like the outcome is actually going to be way worse.
The consequences are more severe.
Yeah, people use the word can't too loosely because the consequences are
too heavy for them to think that they actually have a choice.
Yes. Yes.
Can't means won't. Next time you want to use the word can't, replace it with am not willing to blank. Am not willing to do whatever it is that I need to do to get the result. There is no can't. Was it Yoda? No. Yoda says try, there is no try. Do or do not, there is no try, or something like that. I would say do or don't. There is no can't. It's like your level of willingness to get creative to figure out how can you. Everything is a choice. Some things come with greater or lesser consequences, but there's a consequence to every choice. Mm-hmm. Every single choice. The consequence of me putting this handsome guy on my lap is that I'm going to have hairy ass pants when he gets off. But I'm okay with that consequence. Because he brings you guys happiness. Tell me he doesn't. Look at this stud. Look at this handsome. Hi, Mama.
I love you, my son.
I love you, Mama.
But this was a great question, and I really hope that this helps you guys. You know, sometimes think, like, if you carry baggage, that's okay. We all carry baggage to some degree. And that's why we talk about this. Like, you know, if you find value in this conversation, share it with somebody so that the baggage won't add up. Look, the more baggage adds up, the longer it's going to take to change it. Now, you could change anything, but first you have to accept, and then you have to acknowledge, and then you have to act upon it. So imagine if you have a baggage that, like a bag of trash that weighs 100 pounds, it's going to take more time for that trash to disintegrate versus a bag of 10 pounds. And you can apply to your weight loss, you can apply to your financial life, you can apply to your relationship, you can apply to whatever. But until you learn to accept that you are in charge of changing it, and you can, most people lack ownership, so they stop by saying, I can't, it's impossible. Well, you're never going to with that fucking attitude. Just saying.
Can't is like the easy way out. I can't. It's the easy way out. The back door.
And this is the problem with society too. Because people are so scared to tell you the truth, they will be willing to tolerate your bullshit. So let's say if somebody has hypothyroidism, okay? Because your thyroid is messed up, okay? And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because nowadays it's a very common condition among women, because you've eaten shit for 30 or 40 years, your thyroid's like, fuck you. So now, you know, like shit goes like out the window.
It's most of the hypothyroid cases.
Yes. And
but not all.
Like society just like, you know, like accepts the fact that if you have hypothyroidism, you're now going to be fat, and you should accept being fat. And no wonder you're fat. You've accepted. So you stopped working towards it.
And your actions will follow.
If somebody told you that you're gonna be fat, why should you go put in the work if you believe it? Why should you go out of your way to eat clean? You're like, fuck it, I'm already fucked up anyways, so I might as well enjoy life. And that's why we come in and we're like, fuck this shit. Yes, it's gonna take you longer. Who gives a fuck?
But you can.
Shout out to Tiffany Hughes.
Yeah.
She's below 200 pounds. Dude, Curtis the Curtis. It's been longer than it would take for a normal person.
Curtis the Curtis.
Whatever. It's taken longer than it would take the normal person because of your hormonal condition. However, that doesn't make it impossible, dude.
It's only impossible if you believe it's impossible.
Yeah. And most people just end at impossible. Okay, so now I'm going to give up. Great. Now your baggage is going to be way worse.
Or you try, but you don't actually believe, so all your efforts are doing nothing.
Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Everything's a choice.
You guys, if you found value in today's conversation, do us a favor and please, please, please share it with somebody who will benefit from listening to this. I feel like we've covered topics that could be implemented into so many areas of life, whether it's your friend who keeps on eating donuts because the doctor told her that she has hypothyroidism, so she takes her medication and then she treats her body like garbage even more because she's already messed up, so let's mess shit up even more. Or, you know, maybe it's somebody who's been in a shitty marriage and she's like, it's like every time you call her up, all you hear is negativity, negativity, negativity. And ever since you've joined the page, you're like, I think I'm going to stop being friends with that person because she's just full of shit and she needs to be out of it. And if she's not going to be out of it, then I'm going to be out of it. But anyways, whoever will benefit from listening to this, do us a favor and please, please, please share it with them, you guys, because these are powerful conversations that are here to make a difference on this planet. We're here to tell you guys the truth, the uncomfortable truth that most people are not willing to share with you if they know it. But the reality is that most people are not willing to accept it, because accepting it means that you now have to take responsibility to show up in a certain way.
Yes. Yes, you gotta get real with yourself. And when you get real with yourself, now when you don't live up to that realness or that new standard, now that you are aware of, you're like, you have now, what is it called? Accountability.
Yeah.
You have a standard, and now if you don't live up to it, you feel worse. So you'd rather just not acknowledge that it's a possibility, because that's the hard route. But guess what? Nobody got to the top. There's no easy route to the top. There's no easy path to success, however you define it, because there's a lot of resistance on the way, and you have to know how to overcome that resistance. And you have to be willing to get uncomfortable and take the necessary action to keep going through, even in the midst of the resistance. Boogie told me to share that last part with you. So he's very wise, this guy.
Okay, you guys, so please, 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 if you're watching this on YouTube, then please also hit the subscribe button and share your love. If you are listening to this on podcast, then please leave us a review and subscribe to us as well. You guys, if you don't know this by now, we are on a mission to transform the lives of millions through the same movement, nutrition, lifestyle, and financial habits that have transformed ours. We're here to make a positive impact on your life because we know that you need this. We know that the world needs it. And you know what? Regardless of how long it's going to take us, we are going to get there. And then we're going to 10x that. Why? Because it's our duty and obligation. So if you found value in this, please, please, please help this mission pay it forward by sharing it with somebody who this conversation will make a positive impact on today. We hope that you guys have a beautiful day. Remember that tomorrow is Q&A day, okay? So there is a link in the announcements page, okay? Just go ahead and ask your questions and we will be sure to answer that. You guys, we hope that you have a beautiful day and week ahead, and we will see you tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. Bye.